Welcome to Surviving a Regulatory Interview. Employees sometimes wonder about how to answer questions in a regulatory interview. They think that talking to an inspector is like being interrogated or put on the spot. If an inspector asks to speak to you, don't worry. In this program, you'll see common interview scenarios and learn the do's and don'ts of how to respond to questions. After completing this course, you'll be able to respond when you don't know or are unsure the answer to a question. Respond when there's a lull or a gap in the conversation. Communicate confidence with your words and body language. Respond completely but concisely. And respond when you don't understand the question or the question is very broad. This interview scenario deals with someone who is unsure of their answer but decides to answer the question to the best of their ability anyway. Let's watch.
So tell me, when validating the method, how many times did you run each assay?
Let me try to remember. I'm pretty sure I ran it 3 times.
So how did you know to run the assay 3 times?
That's probably what my supervisor told me to do.
Well, what would you do if one of the assays failed?
I guess I'd run it again.
Not good. If you don't know or aren't sure of your information, it's okay to say, I don't know. Don't guess. There are 2 better ways to respond. Here's the first better response.
So tell me, when validating the method, how many times did you run each assay?
I don't know, but I do have my SOP here, so let me take a look. It says to run the assay 3 times.
So what would you do if one of the assays failed?
Again, I would just check my SOP, so let me look.
Here's another good way to respond.
So tell me, when validating the method, how many times did you run each assay?
3 times.
So what would you do if one of those assays failed?
I don't know. Let me get my supervisor to answer that question.
Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Then either refer to an SOP, logbook, or other relevant documentation to find the answer, or defer the question to another team member or management team member. There will always be other people available to support you. It is also okay to defer the question until you have time to review the relevant documentation. The host of the inspection will work with you to defer the question and bring the documentation into the room. Sometimes in an interview situation, there may be a lull or gap in the conversation, dead air, if you will. The inspector may be pausing to review notes or read a document, or be hoping that you'll say more. Human nature says we need to fill this dead air time with talk, but that's not always the best thing to do. Let's see how Mike deals with this situation.
So tell me, what type of instrument do you use to gather this data?
I use a particle counter.
And how do you know the machine is calibrated?
I check the calibration sticker. And usually the calibration sticker has the correct date on it. And if it doesn't, I call metrology. So, I don't have to wait too long to get it. Metrology, they usually come over and I'm pretty sure that...
So the calibration sticker usually has the right date on it?
A little embarrassing, wasn't it? But remember, dead air is normal, and you don't need to fill it with information that may cause the inspector to ask you even more questions. Let's look at a better way to handle these situations.